So live. Audio on, yeah. Right, so I got into, when you choose your next book, you know when you finish your book, you finish reading a book and you think, great, it's a right good feeling because you have a sense of accomplishment, another one on the list. Especially if you've really studied it, and like I always say with books, you only need to find one lesson from a book to make it worth reading. Finish this one, Black Box Thinking, Matthew Syed. He was a Olympic tennis player turned writer. Quite a good book, so I learnt some lessons in this. Plenty of stuff, I've done some videos on that, so that's done. Feels really good. And then I'm on to choosing my next book, and it's like when you choose a next book, I always take a bit of time. I've always got a stack of like new books. So I've got these here, right? All these here, and I've got 3 more there to choose from. But I like to consider it because I think your reading is like huge about education. It's probably one of the best sources of education, and it takes a lot of time and effort, especially if you're going to read properly, really, to learn lessons and implement them in your life. So I always think that choosing your next book is super important, because you might think, right, which book is going to give me the most right now? And it depends where you're up to. So recently, obviously this year, I've started another business. So obviously got 2 businesses now. So I've been focusing a lot on reading kind of business content, or I've done business content, marketing content, things like that. But I've got a lot of other different books here. So I need to choose one. One of the ones that I thought about, this stack over here, let's just start with this, because this book here I want to read. I bought this, Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, right? Camarillo. So Camarillo's really, he's famous in the jiu-jitsu world. So I want to read this, but because I've been, look at it as well, it's very pictorial. But because I've been, reading a lot of business content, I've not felt the need to sort of delve into this. But, I am learning jiu-jitsu. It is a skill that I'm currently learning. And if I think about all the goals that I put in my journal, it is one of them. And I want to take it a bit more seriously. So I want to read that, but obviously that would mean I'll be happy with my business content. I've got this one here, a really flipping sterile book that I absolutely, look at state on how fat that is. I really don't want to have to read this, but Michael E. Porter, Competitive Advantage, proper business book. It's going to be really sterile and boring. I mean, look at the state of it, but I probably should read this. It's got on the top, the most influential management book of the past quarter century, Financial Times. So it's going to have some absolutely brilliant business advice in it. But does it look exciting? Not in the slightest. I mean, look at the front cover. It just looks absolutely horrendous, like something that's, it just reminds me of the corporate world. But I'm going to have to read that at some point. Here's a bit of fun. Guide to Tolkien. Now, I'd have to be in a very relaxed mood. I know the time to read this one is not now. I've still got a lot of business to get through. And you're in that really good space. So if I think like last few years, I've not really, only this year have I really put a full shift in with work. Before that, I wasn't really working as hard, and that would have been a good time to read a bit of fun. Let's go through these. Look at this one, Anti-Fragile. This is Taleb, obviously. I want to read this. I'll probably choose this next, to be honest. This is where I'm leaning, just because it's a balance between good, interesting content and useful content too. So Taleb, everything that he talks about is really interesting, but it's also like, very, very informative. So I'll probably go with that. I've got some really weird books I've been stuck on my shelf for a while that I bought with a view to read. This one, this is Why Beautiful People Have More Daughters, right? Subtitle: From Dating, Shopping and Praying to Go to War and Becoming a Billionaire. Two evolutionary psychologists explain why we do what we do. So this Satoshi Kanazawa, this author here, I think he got shadow banned because it's quite controversial. I think it's sort of not very politically correct. So you couldn't even buy these books at one point. You know, they weren't available, and they were completely shadow banned all over the place where they were trying to sell it. This one here as well, The Intelligence Paradox, is another one by the same author, Satoshi Kanazawa. I don't know if you know anything about these books, but the fact that they got shadow banned suggested to me that they're worth a read, because, you know, anything that is sort of politically challenging or on the fence is always worth a read, I think. I think you should read wide and form your own opinion. Yeah, so The Intelligence Paradox, why the intelligent choice isn't always a smart one. So that's a bit of a weird one. So I've got them. I thought maybe give them a go. Next one, The Bill Gates Problem. This is a new book, this, The Bill Gates Problem, by a guy called Tim Schwab. Nothing to do with the other Schwab, which is Klaus Schwab, because I think Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab are probably mates, whereas Tim Schwab definitely isn't. I think he's laying into him here. Reckoning, The Bill Gates Problem, Reckoning with the Myth of the Good Billionaire. I think it's sort of, I don't know what this is about. I just bought it, put it on the shelf, not read it. And I believe it's about Bill Gates trying to meddle in sort of drugs and stuff across the world, which, you know, anyway. Right, next one. Here's a good one. Look at this. This is probably, you only even have to look at the front cover on this one to want to read it. Look at this. Look at that guy on the front there, Don Spears. That's got to be one of the best front covers I've ever seen. It's called In Search of Good Pussy. Living Without Love, the Real Truth About Men and Their Relationships. I mean, look at the guy. He's got a dicky bow on. He's holding a dog. It's just, look at that cover. Who's designed that? Reflection, look at this at the bottom. Reflections of a Reformed Ladies' Man. Just telling it like it is, Don Spears. So I got that for a bit of comedy. I think I'll tell you where I got this from. I read Ron Will's book, Nice Guys and Players, and Ron Wills referred to this, so that's where I got that from. Anyway, I just bought it because I thought the cover was comical, stuck it on the shelf, haven't read it. I did sort of read the very start bit, the introduction, and I understand that it's about, you know, you might think that this is a bit of a, you know, like a ladies' man book. It's not. It's actually more about Don Spears' life as struggling as a black man in America, you know, like, and his identity as a black man and things like that. So it's actually more of a, I'm going to say, social science book, but yeah. So I will be reading that at some point, not now. This is one I've been wanting to read for a while. This is John Gottman. So The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Now, I've never been married. I've never wanted to get married. Why the fuck would I buy this? Right. I think the reason why I bought this is because John Gottman is probably one of the leading voices in this topic, making marriage work. And in my mind, whether you want to sort of go down that path or not is one thing, but I thought, I want the knowledge should I find myself in that position one day, right? So that's why I bought this, just in case I happen to be challenged with that position or find myself in that position. I'd rather have the tools rather than, you know, most people that I know that have got married, like friends and stuff, a lot of them are fucking divorced because people just sleepwalk into it because society tells you to, without really understanding the ins and outs of what it is. I mean, I don't want to go on about marriage, but really it's a business contract, you know, and It's probably the biggest decision you'll make in your life. So you ought to educate yourself on it, is what I'm saying. Which is why I bought this. You know, it's not that I'm thinking of getting married or anything. I mean, it's funny because if you ask yourself when it comes to relationships, what is the hardest game in the world? The hardest game in the world is not being a playboy, right? It's not dating, spinning plates and dating loads and loads of women and just being that kind of 2D alpha dude or whatever, as Troy Francis calls it. No, the hardest game in the world is probably marriage and then making it work. You know, most people are shit scared of it. Me too. A lot of guys I meet, the reason why people just do a lot of casual and short-term dating is because they're frightened of commitment, right? It's a form of avoidance. So, and part of that is just a lack of knowledge. You know, we all have our knowledge of marriage is either following the herd and just getting fucking married and then 10 years later getting divorced, or listening to what people say on social media and everything. And I don't think either of it's true. I'd rather study it. So that's why I bought that one. I'm not going to read this. Make your bed. No. I don't even know why I bought that one. But anyway, I might read it. Bullet journal method. I'm going to read this just because obviously I'm in the journal business now, creating journals. Bullet journal is a method, although you can buy the bullet journal. It's a style of journaling. So I just need to read that for business. That's a business book I'd consider. And then this one I've had for a while. I have got more like this. I've got some other books like this. I've got this is the book, by the way, The Psychopath Test, John Ronson, quite a famous book. So I think that's got a lot of hype, so I'll probably read that. I've got so many other books. I was just thinking, looking over there, more on the kind of dark triad stuff. Obviously, I've read a lot. I'll tell you what I've got here is 48 Laws of Power, which I have read. This is probably one of the best books ever. As I say, I think my favourite law, 38. No, not 38. 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Definitely. Yeah, that's everyone has a weakness, a gap in the castle wall. That weakness is usually an insecurity, an uncontrollable emotion or need. It can be a small secret pleasure. Either way, once found, it is a thumbscrew you can turn to your advantage. 48 Laws of Power, that one there, discover each man's thumbscrew, is very Machiavellian to say the least, but that's the power of it. I've got a lot of dark triad books, I find them interesting. So I think I am going to go with either one of these two next. Camarillo's Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu or Taleb's Anti-Fragile. And I think I might go with that just because I can get through it quick. It's very pictorial. And then move on to this book. So I don't know what you think, unless, there are other books you think I should read, like, just a bit of a flavour. Again, we've got the Bill Gates Problem, maybe. Guide to Tolkien. Psychopath Test. What else do we... Oh, yeah, these are interesting. Kanazawa books, we could go with, couldn't we? I don't know what you think. The Intelligence Paradox and Why Beautiful People Have More Daughters. Right. I'm going to choose. I've made the decision. I'm going with Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, followed by Anti-Fragile. Right. Have a nice day. Hopefully, I know that these are going to give me some lessons. So Jiu-Jitsu, obviously, I'm learning it, so that's going to be useful. Anti-Fragile. I love Taleb, everything that he writes. It's been on my shelf for a while. I just need to get it read. Things that game from disorder. Well, a lot of things, actually. Right. Oh, one of his great books, just before we finish, one of his fantastic books that I enjoyed was Skinning the Game. I don't know if you read that one. Brilliant book. That's worth a read. I did enjoy Skinning the Game, so yeah, Anti-Fragile will be good. Right, thank you very much, everyone. I've got to shoot now. All right, see you all next time.